It was Christmas, and my husband passed Christmas Day. My husband passed a present over to me, and I opened it up, and it was a book, and it was entitled "The Empowered Wife."
I've heard of it.
And I saw the word empowerment, and I thought, well, does he not think I'm empowered enough already? I already do everything round here, I'm successful. I'm successful in my career. I'm a successful mother. X, Y. I listed it all in my head. It was all going around. I was looking at this book, and
It's just an insult, really.
yes, that's exactly. Yeah, I
It's a
thought
criticism. Yeah.
yes, yeah. I thought, you know what? He's bought me this book because he thinks that I'm not doing a good job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I just looked at him, and honestly, Laura, if I could have frisbeed that book across across the room, I know this isn't bad, and it would have hit him right between the eyes. I would have been so pleased.
It would have been very satisfying.
Yes,
Yes, yes.
very undignified, but
Well, but
very
satisfying
satisfying.
nevertheless.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Welcome to the Empowered Wife podcast, where it's all about fixing your relationship without your man's conscious effort so that you feel desired, taken care of, and special, even if your relationship feels completely hopeless right now. I'm Laura Doyle, and today we're talking about what to do about the lack of intimacy in marriage. My guest, Joanne, had gone through a divorce already and did not want that again, but seemed to be heading that way. Then she changed her approach to her marriage, but her husband seemed suspicious. Now she feels secure about the future of her peaceful, respectful marriage. She's going to tell us how she did it so you can do it too. That's coming up. But first, let's talk about what to do when there's a lack of intimacy in your marriage, because I remember what that was like, and it's terrible. Like, what's the point of even being married? Every interaction was just a painful reminder that we weren't having deep conversations. We weren't flirting. We weren't laughing together. So there was no emotional intimacy. And then there was no physical intimacy either. I felt really rejected and neglected, and I did not feel desired. And that's really important to me, to feel desired. And since we started out with so much connection and playfulness before, I knew exactly what I was missing, which made it even worse. I couldn't tell myself, well, this is just what happens when you're married for a while, because even if that were true, and it's not, it wouldn't stop me from wanting the intimacy back, even though I'd forgotten why I chose my husband. So it was pretty confusing, and it was miserable for years, a few years. But here are three things that I learned about where the intimacy went and how I got it back, because it's definitely back now. So number one is control and intimacy are opposites. They're opposites. I did a lot of instructing, encouraging, cajoling, insisting, and demanding that John do things my way, the right way, I thought. And I was just trying to be helpful by teaching him things that I knew more about, but I was actually being a steamroller. Let's face it. And what I didn't realize is that control and intimacy are opposites, like light and dark. And now I know if I want the intimacy, I have to be willing to just let him be himself, not try to control, which meant I had to learn how to stop being so helpful. And that was hard for me. Every helpful suggestion I made about how he should dress or drive or eat or clean was chipping away at the intimacy between us. It still does when I get to feeling like a smarty pants again, which can happen from time to time. If I want to have intimacy, I have to give up trying to control and just stay on my own paper. And learning how to stop became very important to me. And I'm so grateful for that now, because controlling is exhausting and it just backfires. And also because control is disrespectful, which leads me to the second thing I learned about how to get the intimacy back. And that is that respect is like oxygen for men. Of course, everyone wants to feel respected. But for my husband, and maybe yours too, respect is like oxygen. He'll suffocate without it. And part of the reason he chose me was because I admired him so much and I thought he was so smart. But then I gradually started telling him how to load the dishwasher, which lane to drive in, and what to have for lunch. So my control was very disrespectful, but it wasn't the only way I was disrespectful. I started to expect the worst from him instead of the best. I also interrupted him. I rolled my eyes. I laughed at his ideas and I walked away while he was speaking. I was kinder to strangers than I was to the man that I swore to love forever. Pretty embarrassing. And there are lots of ways to be disrespectful. And I think I tried them all. And none of them feel good to me now. They all make me feel hairy and dirty. Blech. And they cost me intimacy big time. You can't have an intimate marriage without the oxygen of respect, in my experience. So to restore the intimacy, consider reviewing how you're doing with respect. The number 3 thing that I learned to help restore the intimacy is that intimacy is not for sissies. It is not for the faint of heart. One of the big gifts that came out of the breakdown in my marriage was that I discovered I was a scaredy cat. I was scared all the time. I focused on what I was scared about and I gave it voice all day long. And in order to stop controlling and become more respectful, I had to become more courageous. I had to develop courage muscles, and it seemed like a huge hill to climb at first. Just like, that getting strong montage in a movie where someone starts out all out of shape and flabby, and then you see them get all fit and strong by the end. It was just like that. But I went from being anxious all the time to being braver and more confident. I developed the ability to feel my fear coming up and not act on it. Not act on it. It still feels like a superpower because, well, in the beginning, it didn't seem possible. And I wondered, how am I ever going to stop acting on my fear and learn to choose my faith? And how am I ever going to have anything to say if I don't give voice to my fears? I feel like I'm mute right now, right? It took me a minute to get better, but I really improved when I started hanging around other women who were practicing the same thing. We all got braver together and supported each other in choosing our faith. And that's what I still do to this day, hang around women who are choosing their faith. And that turned out to be great for the intimacy in my marriage and for theirs too. So it's interesting to think about what might happen in your marriage if you were highly skilled at choosing your faith every day. It might just bring back the intimacy that you crave. If you're wondering how to get started with fixing your relationship and making it shiny again, then you need a roadmap. Get 6 simple steps to follow that will set your relationship up for success. Discover 3 common mistakes that wives make trying to fix their relationship that just make things worse when you download my free Adored Wife Roadmap. You can do that at getcherished.com. Go to getcherished.com now to get your roadmap in minutes. My guest, Joanne, had gone through a divorce already and did not want that again, but she seemed to be heading that way. When she changed her approach to her marriage, her husband seemed suspicious. But now she feels secure about the future of her peaceful, respectful marriage. She's going to tell us how she did it so you can do it too. Joanne, welcome to the Empowered Wife podcast. I'm so excited to have you on.
Hi, Laura. Thank you for having me.
Tell us about the bad old days. What was happening in your marriage?
Well, gosh, quite a lot, I suppose. Yeah, the bad old days. My husband was working away, so he was away all week and only really coming home for maybe 1 or 2 days at the weekends. I was We bought a renovation project house-wise. So I was living on the renovation site and it needed a lot of work doing to it. It was, you know, bad. It was quite bad. We needed new windows. The roof was leaking. The electrics were not probably to standard. Yeah, it was tough, really tough. I had my two children with me who were sort of teenagers, early teenagers at the time. Obviously, still needed looking after, but were fairly independent. Yeah, I was trying to work shifts, night shifts, day shifts. It was tough, really, really tough with him being away. Um, and I just found it difficult. He would ring me in the evening to see how I was, and I was just so upset all the time. I was crying, um and that's not really like me. I'm not that sort of person, really. I'm one for really digging in and getting through it, but it was just so hard without him being around and without his help and without his support, really. And even though he was just on the end of a phone line, he still wasn't here, and I really felt that I was struggling as a mother. I felt I wasn't looking after the children properly. I was failing at my career, what it felt like, because I was dashing about from, one place to another, trying to get to work for a certain time, and 12-hour shifts. It was a long time for me to be out of the house. Um, you know, Coming back, sorting the children out, making sure I'd sorted out everything for them, and then starting another day shift the next day. It was difficult, very, very difficult.
Yeah. It's, I
Yeah.
mean, just raising, young teenagers and doing 12-hour shifts at work right there. That's a lot on your own, especially, but never mind living in a renovation site with a leaky roof and things like that. So it just sounds like an enormous amount of stress on your nervous system. And no wonder you were crying because it's just too much, sounds like.
Yeah, it was too much, really. Yeah, I had physically taken on too much work with my career as well. It was all very compounding. I think, we'd moved to a new area, so I didn't really know anybody. I didn't have that support network of other people around me, friends and family. I Yeah, I didn't have anybody, really, because I hadn't been in the town we live in currently long enough to gather those few people that you could rely on to, just keep an eye on the kids, if I was late home from work. And yeah, there was just none of that, really. And I just took it all on, really. I kind of didn't have a choice, but I felt so resentful as well, for him going away to work. I think that was the crux of it. Uh,
Yeah.
he didn't. I mean, he did need to go away to work, but I felt that, the impact it was having on me was enormous. And I'm not sure. I wasn't sure that he really understood what I was going through. You know.
Yeah. So it sounds like you also didn't feel that he saw or appreciated the stress that it was on you and all the effort that you were putting in, all the work.
Yes.
You felt kind
Yes.
of alone with all of that.
Totally, totally alone, and yeah, he'd ring me and he'd try his best to sort of say, oh, I don't want to be away and I'm really sorry. And have you tried this? And he was giving me all sorts of suggestions, but yeah, I just needed some support with him, being here, really. And then he was away for a few months, and then his sort of attitude changed a little bit and he was then becoming resentful of
Oh,
of me. He's sort of saying, well, I know that you can do it, you're a strong person, and I have to be away to be working, and there's no reason why you can't do it, and just made me worse. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So now instead of having some compassion or empathy, he's just sort of saying, buck up and
Yeah,
do it.
kind of get on with it, because I know that you're a strong woman, and
Maybe stop complaining about it too,
yeah.
right?
Yes,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
which I was complaining,
well,
which is
sure. But, I mean, you want to feel like you're appreciated or at least understood
yeah,
when you're, so I can see how that would go over very badly.
yeah,
If you were already low resource. So to have him say, buck up and just do it would only compound my resentment if I'm in your shoes. So, yeah. So this is not okay. So it's kind of stressful, but it's just going along like this. Very stressful. So then what
yeah.
happened?
Well, we sort of ticked along for a little while, and then within about maybe 2 years, he changed his job, and he was at home more.
Okay.
Um, well, in fact, he was home full time. Well, he was 9 to 5, but home during the
Yeah.
day and everything. Um, so that was great, but it's almost like the damage had already been done. We'd already been very resentful with each other, and from having an amazing marriage the first few years, to just bickering all the time, and yeah, it was just resentful, really. He resented me for complaining about everything. He was back at home. He was working full time, still trying to renovate the house. It was weekends of working on the house and still looking after the children. I was still working shifts. It was just, it just felt never ending, really. I did change my shifts because I thought that was the problem. So I went to just day shifts, which was good because then at least I wasn't working nights. But it didn't really improve it that much. It just sort of smoothed it over a little bit more. But it was still very rocky underneath. Um, I mean, even to the point where I changed my job. I changed my career and went to do a different job, which was better in some respects, but still there was that underlying resentment between us, and we just couldn't seem to get back what we had previously. Uh,
Yeah.
and like neither of us really knew kind of what to do when we were arguing. And I had my previous house that I had when I was married to somebody else. I decided to sell because I was getting edgy. I was thinking I need some finances here, really, which is difficult to admit now. But I thought, yeah, that I'm going to have to sell that house, so I did. And he sort of said, well, you seem to be selling it just on a bit of a whim. And I'm thinking, no, I'm not. I'm selling it because I feel like, we're going to be going our separate ways. That's just what I saw. That's what I saw my future as. And I was pretty sure that that's how he saw our future as well. And yeah, so that's what I did. I sold the house and I had this pot of money. But just something was stopping me from actually pressing the divorce button, I suppose, really. And the same, I should imagine, for him. But for me, I just didn't want to go through it again. I didn't want the children to go through it again because, they'd known my second husband since they were quite small children. I was embarrassed to have to say, that I was getting divorced again. I'm my husband's third wife. So obviously when we were getting married originally, there was lots of people, what are you doing? And he's been married twice before. And I didn't want to prove those people right. I'm too stubborn.
Thank goodness, right? Because
Yeah. And
yeah.
I just thought, no, I just didn't want to do it. So something was stopping me from doing it. And I don't know I think that's what it was. So when it changed, it was Christmas. And my husband passed Christmas Day. My husband passed a present over to me, and I opened it up, and it was a book, and it was entitled "The Empowered Wife."
I've heard
And I saw the word empowerment, and I thought, well, does he not think I'm empowered enough already? I already do everything round here, I'm successful. I'm successful in my career. I'm a successful mother. X, Y. I listed it all in my head. It was all going around. I was looking at this book, and
it's just an insult, really.
yes, that's exactly. Yeah,
That's
I
a
thought
criticism. Yeah.
yes, yeah. I thought, you know what? He's bought me this book because he thinks that I'm not doing a good job.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just looked at him, and honestly, Laura, if I could have frisbeed that book across the room, I know this isn't bad, and it would have hit him right between the eyes, I would have been so pleased.
It would have been very satisfying.
Yes.
Yes.
Very undignified.
Well,
very
satisfying nevertheless.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So obviously I didn't do that. Luckily, I didn't do that. My children were there, and I
you were trying to keep decorum.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was that really. So over the Christmas break, I thought to myself, he's going to ask me if I've read this book. He's going to ask me. So I thought I'd better have a bit of a look at it. So I flicked through it, but I'm not a great reader. So I thought, well, I'll download it on Audible.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So it was the first week in January, and I was back at work, and I thought, oh, I'll put this on Audible as I'm driving back and forth to work, and I'll just listen to it, and then at least I can say, oh yeah, I've listened to that book, yeah, and that will be that, tick,
Check that off your box.
Right? Yes, exactly. Try and keep him happy.
Shut him up, really. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just placating him totally. Yeah. So anyway, put it on, and was driving to work, and literally I was 10-15 minutes into the book, into the journey, and I heard you saying something along the lines of, does any of this resonate with you? And I thought, oh my goodness, yes, it does. And it was pouring down with rain. I pulled over because I just thought, I've just got to concentrate. I've just got to concentrate on this book and this like aha moment that I was having. It was just unbelievable. So I listened to more of the book, and I was just in the lay-by, and the traffic was like whizzing past me, and I just thought, oh my goodness, this is it. It's me. I have been the one that has been the problem,
No.
primarily. Yeah, and I couldn't believe it really, but listening to your voice and to the things that you were explaining, I thought, yes, I can just see it. It was just so clear to me. But I thought, well, there's only me that can sort it out as well, which was also a defining moment, because I thought, well, I know I'm strong enough to do that.
Oh,
I know I have the power, and I know I have the control to control myself.
So this is a very painful moment, though, but also an incredibly hopeful moment, both at the same time happening.
Absolutely.
As you're on the side of the road with traffic going by you in the pouring rain, having this epiphany, like, it's in my hands. Oh no, it's in my hands. And yes, it's in my hands. I can do this. But
yes.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So so that was a defining moment, really. And, hard to take as well, because I knew that he wanted me to, read it, and didn't want him to be right.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Horrible.
wanted him to be really wrong.
Yes, yes, so wrong.
Yes. Yeah.
He'd
So,
already been spared the book between his eyes, and now, it's awful. He was turning out to maybe be a little bit right, at least. Yeah.
yes, yes. How dare he?
Yeah. Wouldn't like it.
Yeah. So, I just kept on listening to the book every day. I would put it on going to work. I'd put it on coming home from work. Um, he did ask me after a couple of weeks, which I knew that he would. He said, have you had a chance to read that book? And I just said, yes, I have, and it's absolutely amazing. And he was obviously amazingly shocked. Um, and luckily, I'd listened to it just back to back, never stopped, just kept going round and round and round and round, and then stopping, listening to a bit more, and then rewinding, listening to that bit again so that I could just get it in my head. And it just it was becoming more and more ingrained in me. So when I did speak to my husband about it, I knew how to apologize to him, really, and how to explain to him, I suppose, So I did. I said, look, I apologize for the way that I've been treating you, and it's been terrible. I tried to pinpoint some instances, that I knew that he would remember, fights that we'd had, and I said, I was wrong in this instance, and he was just dumbfounded. He was just quiet, and he just let me say what I needed to say. Really, I said, I'm reading this book, well, listening to this book, and I'm understanding it more and more, and I realize that I have the power to change our marriage. So yeah, that was the start of it, really. He didn't say anything. He just grabbed hold of me and gave me a big hug.
Oh.
Yeah. And said, you don't have to apologize. And I'm saying, yes, I do.
Oh.
The book says I need to. But I wanted to as well. That was
to.
Yeah, I wanted to say, because I just understood where he was coming from, I suppose, and understood why I was reacting to him in the way that I was, and why the fights were why the fights were so bad. It just was so. It just came to me, and I knew that I had to say that I was sorry. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
make it sound pretty easy to just apologize, but
Well,
it's really hard, actually, isn't it?
yeah, it was. I had to listen to the apology, sort of section of your book quite a number of times, because I wanted to make sure that I got it right as well, and I didn't really plan it, I suppose. I think it was just, I listened to it a few times, and because he'd said to me, have you listened to the book? Then I just used that opportunity. So I didn't really plan, but because it was already in my head, I knew how I wanted to say it, and how I needed it to come across, so that it sounded heartfelt and not empty, not an empty apology.
And it was heartfelt, and he got that, and he loved it.
Yeah.
So you created this magical moment where he was dumbfounded, like just falling on the floor, dumbfounded, basically, which is,
Yeah.
I don't know, for me, I feel a little, it's satisfying in a way to have that. Like, that's a kind of a superpower to be able to do that.
Yeah, definitely. Because, like you say, I didn't want to apologize. However, the more that I listened to your book, the more I realized it was all pointing in that direction.
Oh.
And I thought, I'm going to have to do it. I am going to have to do it. And then in the end, I was happy to do it.
What about all that resentment, though? Where did that go?
Gosh, I don't know. I
It
don't
just
know where
left?
it just kind of, I don't know. I suppose I look back to how we used to be and I try to remember that more. Um, I try to remember how we were together when we were first together in our first few years of marriage. And I try to just keep that focused in my mind, really. And of course, by this time, he was at home.
Yeah.
He was working full time. He was doing more on the house. Um,
And
so,
you were off of night shifts as well.
yeah, I was off night shifts. I was doing day shifts. So I was in a better place. Um, I wasn't as tired, obviously. I wasn't as wondering what time of the day it was, and so all those little things did reduce the resentment, I suppose, and to the point where it was a distant memory because I could see that he was trying his absolute best to fix the house and to put central heating in and to make sure the electrics were safe. And, he so I suppose a little bit of I was admiring him a little bit more and realizing that he was doing his best, but only sort of 5%, But that was the start. That's all that the both of us needed, really. That was all that we needed, just to set us off again in the right direction, you know.
So it was a big shift in the relationship. This monumental moment, this big apology.
Yeah.
And what else did you do differently than you had been doing?
So when I first read your book, the first few weeks, the only skill that I was sort of happy with to do that felt natural was self-care,
Okay. Oh, it
Yeah.
felt that's good actually. A lot of people say that one doesn't feel natural.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, I just knew that I could do it. I knew that
it was
I knew
doable.
yes, yes, that's the
Okay.
thing. I'm thinking, oh, I'm not sure I'm into this relinquishing control or, some of the others. I
Yeah,
couldn't
right.
get that quite, in my psyche at the time. But I thought I can do the self-care bit. Yeah, that's okay. Um, so I just started really drilling down and focusing on that really because it was a bit of a defining moment as well to know, I don't know why, that it's down to me to make myself happy. I don't know why I didn't know that before. I didn't know who it was, whose responsibility it was to make me happy. I
Right.
didn't really question it.
I mean,
I,
it's so interesting, right? Like how did we not know this? It sounds so simple once you say it. Oh, you're responsible. We all would say, yeah, yeah, right, of course.
yeah,
So yeah, I love this. Like, but it wasn't so simple, really. It was an epiphany that
yeah,
it was up to you. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
So
definitely. And I think the words that you wrote and the way that you've explained it, it made total sense. It really did make total sense. So I sat down and I wrote a huge list of things that just make me happy. That's all I focused on. I wrote at the top of the page what makes me happy, and yeah, I managed about 5 things to start with.
okay, that's pretty good. That's a
Uh,
good start, right?
well, yeah, yeah. And then I thought, gosh, there must be more things than this. Come on, I need to really have a think about this. Um, and then I realized it was very, very simple things that make me happy, um, that don't cost any money, that are around me all the time.
Really?
So um, I'm very lucky. I have 2 dogs, so I take the dogs for a walk, and instead of thinking of it as a chore, I think this is fantastic. I'm going to go out. I'm going to enjoy the walk. I'm going to enjoy them. I'm going to um, say hello to everybody I meet, smile at strangers, and listen to the birds singing. And I'm going to walk along and look out rather than walk along with my head down. That's what I felt I was doing a lot of. I was just looking at the pavement, or looking at the pathway, and not experiencing what was around me, and not appreciating what was around me. So yeah, I would just walk and listen to the birds, and laugh at some school children walking past, and just very, very, very simple things. And I'd come back, and I was happy. And then I'd feed the dogs, and I was happy. Just very, very, the simpler, the better, I find, makes me happy. So things like when I'm taking a shower, instead of rushing, just spend 10 or 15 seconds longer in there, enjoying the heat of the water. That makes me happy because I don't have to rush, It was just incredible, really. I had, like, at the top of my list, I had something, going to the spa. Yes, of course, that makes you happy. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're quite big things, aren't they? You can't really fit going into a spa,
every day,
every day of your life. Precisely.
You
Can't do that,
it.
can you? So I had to, really drill down and think a bit more outside the box about it. So now I find it really easy. Things as simple as sitting down and having a glass of water without feeling that I've got to put the microwave on, or put the washing machine on, or just
tidy up over there, or yeah,
just sit. You're allowed to do it. You're allowed just to sit and give yourself 2 or 3 minutes just to sit and drink a glass of water. So simple. But I think the book gave me the permission to do it, if you will.
Yeah. Well, this is so endearing that the dog walking went from a chore and looking at the pavement to your chance to enjoy them and the birds and the school children and the outdoors, and then just sitting with a glass of water, spending 20 extra seconds in the shower, 15, turned into self-care. And these are things that you were doing but not enjoying. And that was, so there's a major shift in your point of view. Not even so much in how you were spending your time, really, it sounds like.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. I just try to look for the smallest of things that I was doing anyway, but just ignoring. And
I think what's so endearing about it is you're bringing gratitude to each of these activities now, instead of maybe the old resentment or just feeling like a chore. Yeah. So yeah, amazing. And then you had your 5 big things on your list, but every day you were able to work in these simple everyday things that you could do.
Yeah.
And so you were actually feeling more happy?
Oh, massively happier. It just incredibly happier. I was walking around with a smile on my face instead of not smiling,
I see it on you right now. You are emanating joy, actually. Yeah, it's just as you're describing this. So it's believable. But yeah, okay. So, and then did your husband notice that you were happier?
Maybe not at first, because he was just quite happy for me to just do my own thing, because he didn't want anything to do with me, really. So he was quite happy for me to entertain myself and, just not involve him in anything, really, and I get it, because actually I probably wasn't a very nice person back then, So I think initially he didn't notice. It took a few weeks, maybe a few months, I think, for him to notice that I was happier. And when I did take the dogs for a walk, as an example, he knew that I was really happy when I came back. So he started suggesting that I take the dogs out a bit more. I would maybe take them out 3 times a day or something. Maybe at lunchtime if I popped home at lunchtime. And then he started saying, "Oh, can I come with you? Because you're always so happy when you come back. Can I come with you?"
So you were this girl of fun and light. He was attracted to that. He just wanted to be around happy Joanne.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So when he came with me, at first I was thinking, oh no, is he gonna spoil it a little bit? Spoil my happy time.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there's some danger there.
Yeah, exactly. I was a little
Yeah.
bit apprehensive because that was my time, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But actually, I just spoke to him. I said, "Oh, I'd say, oh, there's oh, can you hear the birds singing? Or, wow, look at those flowers over there. Aren't these amazing? I'd never noticed these before." And he was like, "Oh yeah, and just going along with it, really, and." So, and I'm saying to him, "Well, look at the dogs' faces. Don't they look really happy? And, they love going for a walk." And so that made him happy, because obviously he loves the dogs. um, and yeah, I suppose that was the start of him kind of coming back, really, and starting to enjoy spending some time with me, But it's because I was happy.
When you say coming back, and he'd never physically left, but there was so much distance by this time that this was a change in the routine.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
All right, so big apology, lots of self-care happening. Anything else? What else did you do differently, if anything, at that point?
So I think with listening to the book over and over and over, I started to get a bit more confidence, I suppose, with doing some other of the skills. So I would say that maybe the second one for me, which had a really compounding effect, was saying ouch. I don't know why it was that one, but if he insulted me or hurt me, or I understood as soon as I felt that pain, that hurt, that wanting to, really get him back with something that he said to me, almost point score with him, I knew that I could reach for ouch. And I had a few times when I missed the boat, I missed it. And then I was mad with myself, and afterwards I would analyze the conversation, and I would think, oh, I could have said ouch there. I wonder what his reaction would have been. And I was apprehensive to start with to use it because I knew that it was different. I knew that he'd never heard me say something like that before. But then again, I didn't really plan it. But then one day he just said something to me, and the first thing in my head was ouch. So it came out.
Right out.
Yeah, ouch. And his face was a picture. He looked at me, he was really mad because he wanted me to, well, not physically, but like, verbally punch him back, because that's what he was used to. He was used to me, punching him back.
We always do, Joanne.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, the stairs.
Yeah. So he didn't quite know what to say. So then he repeated the insult. So I ouched him again. Just said ouch again. and he just sort of like went off in a bit of a huff. So I thought, oh my word, this is really working. It's working, everyone.
I love it. So you felt empowered. So you didn't get an apology. He even said it again. It was even
Yeah.
You could even have made a case, well, it didn't work at all because he just doubled down. But that's
Mm,
not how you felt. You actually felt like you'd honored yourself in that moment, and you'd avoided whatever was going to happen after that, which
mm.
that old dance you were doing probably wasn't much fun for either one of you.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't
Yeah.
want to go there again.
No, no.
And I felt kind of satisfied in a way that one, I'd plucked up the courage to say it.
Yeah.
Two, I'd actually got the timing right this time. So I
Yeah.
felt as if that had that same feeling of, oh no, this sounds really bad, but I had that same feeling of verbally punching him back without
Yes.
actually verbally punching him back.
I love that. It's so honest because you're right. I always describe it as I felt so smug. I felt really smug being able
Yeah,
to, like, I just won. I won the debate or something. I won the fight because I said ouch.
yeah,
And I shut him up. Yeah. So I love that
yeah,
description of it. Oh,
yeah.
oh.
So I tried it quite a few times. And then he started saying, I hate it when you say ouch. And I thought, and then that was another defining moment because I thought, yeah, you don't like it because there's nowhere to go with it. There's nowhere to go, you know, and he doesn't know where to step, like you say about the new dance. He didn't know what the new steps were, and he didn't like the new steps in a way because
Because they were new.
yeah, yeah, and he didn't know what to do. So as soon as he said, I hate it when you say ouch, I thought, well, it's obviously having the desired effect because you don't like it, simple as that. And so from then on, he didn't verbally attack me as much anymore. Because,
Really?
yeah, because he just knew that I would ouch him, and he didn't like it. So yeah, so he
Wow.
very rarely does it now. Yeah,
Wow. So you really
amazing.
taught him how to treat you.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah,
And it
yeah.
wasn't about being defensive at all.
No.
You were really quite vulnerable
Mm,
and open. And that's not really how he doesn't want to interact that way.
no.
So so very powerful. You got him. I mean, one could say you changed your husband. You got him to stop insulting you.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Yeah. Because he would
impressive.
he would choose his times to do it. First of all, he'd do it just at any time, but then he sort of um tweaked his approach a little bit, and he would do it in front of other people. So he would insult me in front of other people to see
If
then
you would
what.
see.
Yeah,
Ah,
just so I ouched him in front of other people, and then
wow.
that showed him up. You see,
Oh,
and
wow.
he was a little bit
Now,
embarrassed.
this does take tremendous courage to do that because we get that question a lot. Like, what if he does it in front of other people? Then what do I do?
Mm,
But you were fearless. You were just staying on your paper. That was an ouch. I'm just ouching.
yeah,
Wow. Love
yeah,
it.
yeah.
So brave. Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you felt like, okay, these skills are working. This, the ones I'm trying so far are working.
Yeah.
And you're definitely getting a different response from your husband as
Hmm.
well. So this is exciting. So, yeah, was there, and you'd had that money, kind of a pot of money you described earlier that you had been thinking about how you were going to deal with your, divorce, but that sounds like that was off the table at some point.
Yeah, totally off the table. I did the house sale did go through, and but we've invested that money elsewhere now, which is fantastic. We've got a little nest egg there for our future, which is
So it's no
wonderful.
longer your getaway fund, though. You don't have it in your
No,
back pocket anymore. You have There's no escape. The wisdom of no escape here.
Yes, exactly. My runaway fund, as I described it. Yeah. My yeah, that was well. There's just no need for it now. I just don't feel that scared anymore. I don't feel like I'm. I just know now that he will look after me. I just know that he will, which it feels really strange even saying that, but I just do. I just know that he will look after me, and it's much more of a partnership. It's less him and me and more together, you know.
Wow.
Mm.
Was there a moment when you felt like that happened, where that became clear, or it was just kind of a gradual thing over time?
I think it was a little bit of a gradual thing, but he once he started noticing more and more. And this is typical of my husband. He's very vocal, and he is actually very in touch with his own feelings, I suppose, really. So he was I caught him on the phone. Well, not I didn't catch him. I overheard him on the phone to his friend, and he didn't know that I was listening. I think I was just walking past his office or something, and I could hear him saying, "Oh my goodness, our relationship. She's managed to change it. She's turned it round. It's absolutely incredible now." And that's all I heard him saying. I wanted to stay there and like hear some more, but I thought,
Yes.
no, I'll not. I'll let him. So I went into the kitchen. I'm going, yes, I know. Happy dance. Because I thought if he's telling his friends, then that's a great sign. And then gradually he was saying it more to me. He's saying, he said, I'm so proud of you now. He said, because I don't have the capability of changing. He said, I'm too stubborn. I'm too set in my ways. He said, but somehow, he said, I don't know how you've done it, but you have changed our relationship in a relatively short period of time. And he said, I'm just so proud of you. I'm just so proud to tell people that you're my wife now, you know?
Oh, that
Yeah.
must have been
And
music to your ears.
oh, it's just absolutely incredible. I could hardly believe it, and he said it, well, he says it multiple times, even today. We've had some family round today, and we were having a meal, and he said, um, Joe has absolutely turned our marriage round. It's better than it was even before. Yeah, I know. He said that this morning. Well, this afternoon, yeah.
Back to the kitchen you go.
Yes,
Right.
exactly. Yeah. So
Oh,
yeah, he is. He's kind. He's considerate. He is loving. He wants to please me. So we went for we have a motorbike, so we went out for breakfast this morning. He said, "Oh, would you like to go for breakfast?" That sounds great. So, and normally I'd be saying, "Oh, in the old days I'd be saying, oh, well, let's go here and let's go there, and we should do this and we should do that, and this is what we should be doing," and using that should word. But now I find I'm not even doing that. I thought, great, yeah, he can decide where we're going, because then I don't need to worry about it. I don't
yeah,
need
that's
to worry.
true.
I can just enjoy,
Be taken out and surprised and
yeah,
treated.
exactly. Yeah. And he's sort of saying, oh, would you like to go to this cafe, or would you like to go to this cafe? And I'm like, whatever you think, whatever. Whichever one that you like, it will be perfect for me, and he's like, oh, okay.
So cool. So he's getting the chance to be your hero, it sounds like, too.
Yeah, definitely, and when we go to places now, I'm much more willing to say, oh, this is a great table, or oh wow, the menu is like superb. I'm looking for reasons to say how much I'm enjoying it. Whereas in the past, I would have just accepted it, and just not really said anything. But now I'm looking for things that I can say, oh, God, the waiter is really friendly. What a great place. The food is fantastic. Thank you so much for bringing me here.
Wow.
And I'm finding it quite easy, really, to look for things that I can appreciate.
Now,
Yeah.
it's the way you describe that. Is this your true nature, Joanne? This grateful woman you're describing? It sounds like it is, in a way.
Oh, well, I'd like to think so.
Right?
I would like to think that it's my natural way of thinking. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I am grateful. I am. He does take us to some fantastic places. And it's good to look for the positive in your in your environment. And if something isn't like that fantastic, then I just don't say anything. I just don't even comment about it.
Right.
I just
not going to give that energy.
yeah. Not going to give that any time or anything. Yeah, it's just something that we've seen it, and it's not great, like a sticky table or something. Sometimes you go to, when you're doing the UK anyway, sometimes you go to a UK cafe and it might be sticky and you think, but I wouldn't, like, normally I'd complain to him about that and say, oh God, this table's really sticky, let's go and find another one, or let's go to a different cafe. But I'm starting to understand that if I say things like that, then it's almost a criticism of him, especially if he's chosen to go to that. It's so clever, the way that it's so easy to criticize your husband just by saying something negative about the cafe that he's taking you to. So that's taken a while for me to understand, but now I get that. I get that he would find that insulting or disrespectful, or if I say I don't like the restaurant. I mean, if he asked me outright later on, what did you think about the restaurant? Then I would tell him. I would say, well, the food wasn't great, or the service wasn't great, and he 9 times out of 10 says, I totally agree. Well, perhaps we'll not go there again. And I'll say, yeah, well, maybe we won't go there again. So yeah, even complaining is easier.
Yeah. Well, you're kind of on the same team now. It sounds like a little more, instead of being, instead of maybe nitpicking his choices. You can, that there's some agreement that you find in your experiences. So, how would you say, how has this affected your children, or has it affected your children that you've made? I mean, I hear you using every intimacy skill, right? There's self-care, there's respect, there's relinquishing control, there's vulnerability with the ouch, there's a lot of gratitude. So what, how does it affect them? The kids?
Well, the children have definitely seen a difference. So my son is 22 and my daughter is 20. And they have definitely seen a difference, mainly by sort of saying to me, oh, Mum, you look really happy now. You seem really happy. And, our stepdad seems like a lot happier, and I say, well, yeah, that's because we are, and I've been able to speak to, especially my daughter. I've been able to speak to her and kind of explain some of the things that I've been doing. I said, well, normally, I would do this, but now I've just changed it slightly, and I'm going to approach it in this way. So, and we even have, between my daughter and I, we have a little competition to see if we can come up with some other self-care things to do.
I love it.
Yeah, because I'm trying to sort of say to her, look, you need to look after yourself. It's really important that you are in control of your happiness. Nobody else, not your boyfriend, not me, not anybody. it's you that's needs to it is in control of that. And so now I think my husband did say something to her like, well, I can't believe that you've been to work today and you've come home and you've been napping all afternoon. You've had you've been asleep when you should have really been doing some chores around the house. And she spun round as fast as anything and she just said, that's my self-care, actually. So he just sort of like looked at me and I went, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, there's hopefully the positivity is rubbing off on them, and they can see a difference, and hopefully I'm setting her off in the right direction as well.
Right. It must feel good to be the role model for what's possible and how to look after yourself and take responsibility for your own happiness.
Yeah.
And to, I love her confidence in that response, that instantaneous response. Like, yeah, no, I wasn't doing chores. I was doing self-care. That's really important, right? I'm taking good care of myself. So I can imagine your delight in that. Yeah, having that outcome. You must be proud, right? That you've done all this. Yeah, I mean, it's an incredible accomplishment, right?
Yes, definitely. I am really proud of myself, and I'm normally I would be anybody can do it, but doing the skills has actually taught me that it's okay to be proud of your achievements. In the past, I've never been proud of my achievements, and I've always sort of dumbed it down a little bit and not really spoken about it, and giving it the well, anybody can do it sort of attitude. But now I realise that actually it's okay. It's okay to be proud of your achievements and accept somebody saying that they're proud of you or you must be proud, And I am.
Well, I'm so pleased to hear that you are so proud because it is an incredible accomplishment, everything you're describing. And so I'm certainly inspired to hear about it. What about for a woman who's listening, who is maybe where you were, where she's just full of resentment, maybe gathering her resources on the side, thinking this can't last, and I better just make some plans for my own, my own provisions.
Yeah.
And she wants what you have now, where her husband's, taking her to cafes and bragging to other people about how she's changed the whole relationship and made it so wonderful. What's your tip for her?
I think I would say try to focus on why you were attracted to your husband in the first place. Try to get back to that place in your head, even if you can only get back to it for a few seconds, really. And then just try and expand on that feeling and that feeling that you had when you were first together. And look after yourself, take care of yourself and do your self-care and make yourself happy.
Yeah, I love that. It really is a matter of what you decide to focus on, and you decided to focus on the connection and the love that you felt when you were first together.
Yeah,
and it was easy to find that again in some ways. So yeah, but you did bring tremendous focus to it, which I think is so key.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah,
nice receiving too. Sorry, go ahead. I want to hear.
Because none of us married, a silly man, did we? None of us married a man that we thought that was ridiculous or
a monster or terrible. Or,
and that really resonated with me. I thought, yeah, you know what? I married a man who I thought was absolutely wonderful and was kind and considerate, and I thought he still is that person. He just doesn't want to show it at the moment, And so yeah, so I just really tried to focus on the time when he was a lovely person, even though he wasn't showing it at the time. Yeah. Um, yeah, so that's what I did. And that's what I would
And
tell anybody.
yeah, now that lovely person is back. He's
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
And you did that. So yeah. What do you think you would say to Joanne if you could go back and tell her what you know now?
Oh, I think I would say, try to not be so like a raged animal. If I was so defensive, I think, and I think I was just so hurt, and I was like a wild animal, really wanting to fight everybody. And there was just no need. There was no need to fight the way that I did. Um, but that's how I felt. That's how I protected myself. It was fight or flight, really, and I stood and fought, and I didn't need to. I certainly didn't need to fight with my husband because he wasn't the enemy.
No, but it does it is a reflection of how much pain you were in. Um, and you didn't know how to get yourself out of it any other
Yeah,
way, right? This seemed like a reasonable response, because that's all you had at the time, is what
yeah,
I hear. Yeah. So
mm,
it's nice to have some other options now. And
definitely.
yeah. Yeah, and it's nice to be so clear that it wasn't necessary back then, and to be able to make that different choice now. You
Mm,
definitely you make it seem kind of easy, but we know it's not really to change your focus so completely, to really focus on what's going right in your marriage and what's right with your husband,
yeah.
to create the beautiful marriage that you have now. So so yeah, what's next for you with all this?
Well, I spoke to my husband about it, and I realised that the skills were here forever. They're here for life now. I don't ever want to get rid of them. I don't want ever to forget them. I don't want ever to put them in a box and say, right, okay, that was then, and I'm moving on to something else now. So I spoke to my husband about becoming a relationship coach. And even before I got the words out, he was like, yes, yes. I think you should do it. You're going to be brilliant.
Oh,
So I was like, "Oh God, are you sure?" It was just mulling over in my brain, Yeah, be careful what you wish for,
yeah.
And he said, "Yeah, he said if it's going to help you, he said it's going to help us, And he jokes and he said it's cheaper than a divorce."
Oh gosh. Well, I
Yeah,
agree with him. I think he'll be brilliant as a coach.
thank
And
you.
I just am curious, does he ever gloat that he's like, ha, ha, I got you that book?
Yes,
Okay.
he did.
Okay.
He did it earlier on today. It was me that got the book. So
That's
I
funny.
joked with him and said, "Yeah, I needed the book to I needed the counselling to deal with you." Joking, joking.
Yeah, so it's playful. It's a playful
Yeah.
topic now, right? And it was such a painful one, really, that morning when you opened the book.
Oh
But
gosh, yeah.
right, and you just have transformed it. So well, I do want to recognize your incredible achievement here by giving you
Oh,
my best wife award.
thanks
Yay,
you. Thank
Joanne, you
you.
did it, you did it. It's
Thank you.
incredible, all that you've created in your home. And yeah, I think the world needs more women like you who think that marriage is important, because it is, right? And
Yeah.
um, yeah, you've done just a beautiful job. So thank you for inspiring all of us today with the details of your story. Yeah, it means so much to me. I'm so grateful.
Oh, well, thank you, Laura. I'm very grateful that you asked me to do this, and it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
If you'd like to be my guest on the Empowered Wife podcast and share about how you fixed a struggling relationship using the 6 intimacy skills, I would love to interview you. Just go to lauradoyle.org/podcast-guest to let me know that you are willing to make a big contribution to ending world divorce by telling your relationship story. I look forward to meeting you. That's lauradoyle.org/podcast-guest. Listen and subscribe to the Empowered Wife podcast. On next week's podcast, we're going to answer the question, why is my husband so defensive? In the meantime, I hope you're having lots of fun. Today's fun fact is I've been seeing movie ads that say, for your consideration, like they want me to vote for them to get an Academy Award. And I didn't even know I was in the Academy, but it's great to finally be recognized for these incredible YouTube videos I've been making.